joining us today for Master Coach's Wednesday Weekly Buzz and our after show Buzz Reaction. I'm Ruth Nelson, joined by Hall of Famers Mick Haley, Bob Bertucci, and Brian Gimolero, bringing you the most current issues and trends in volleyball. Our weekly news show has leaders in our sport provide their perspectives on the questions that are asked, along with the discussion on topics that are current and ones that are affecting all of us. Our news flash. The MAAC has 10 of 11 schools, all private schools, will require all athletes to be vaccinated with the exception for medical or religious reasons. For conferencing, playing, and testing will be required for those not vaccinated. We'll update you next week with new conferences adding this requirement for competition. Registration is open for 2021 AVCA Convention in Columbus, Ohio, December 18th. Jump over to avcaconvention.org to register. Today, we have two guests. First guest is a head coach coming from the SEC who will provide us her insight into the upcoming season. And our second guest will be one of the Olympic gold medalists from USA Women's Indoor Volleyball Team. And she will catch us up on what it was like playing in her first Olympics. So let's head over to Austin, Texas with former USC, Texas, and Olympic head coach Mick Haley, who will introduce our first guest today. Mick?
Thank you, Ruth. And it's really my pleasure to introduce Fran Flory, the head coach at LSU, and especially since Fran was the left side hitter on our 1981 national championship team at the University of Texas. But Fran since has gone back to Baton Rouge, has been there for 24 years, almost 2.5 decades, and she is the longest tenured coach at LSU. She is doing a whale of a job at repositioning this program into a challenge position in the SEC, and I'm just so thrilled to have Fran on today. Fran, welcome, be on the program.
Well, thanks so much. I'm excited to be back. I mean, amongst you all, what an honor to be with you. I played against and coached against most of you, and certainly Mick, owe a lot to you for where I am today. So thanks, Ruth, a former LSU coach as well. So just carrying on the legacy a little bit here, Ruth.
Well, that's wonderful. We're going to actually start and put you right on the spot, if you don't mind. But it's my understanding that you're just thrilled with what your team has been doing in your program's preparation. Can you tell us a little bit about why you have this enthusiasm and what's been happening in Baton Rouge?
Well, it's the most physical gym we've had in a long, long time. Maybe since way back in the late 80s, early 90s, when we went to the Final Four twice with Scott Lester leading the program. The physicality is, it's everywhere. It's not just a couple of people here and there. We have physical middles. Don Woosey's touching over 11 feet and is a pretty physical player to be able to do that. She's got a lot to learn in the game, but she's getting there. Our pins are physical for the first time, and that's part of the problem that we've had the last few years is we didn't have people to finish on the pin. And, the transfer portal has been kind to us. We are the recipient of having a great beach program. That is what happened with us. I can't take credit for this. Kaili Kimura transferred in from Missouri, obviously known nationally, All-American. Every year she's been there and was coming to play beach. This is not a master recruiting job by me at all. I can't take it again. Was going to play beach, and COVID had already committed to play beach here before we knew we were going to get the extra year of eligibility for indoor. And then decided she graduated, wanted to enter a master's program at LSU that Missouri did not have. And so decided to come and join us and take her extra year of indoor with us. And Hannah Brister is another person in the same situation. All Louisiana, all conference player of the year at Northwestern State, Louisiana. And she joined us, actually played last year and then was able to play again this year indoor. COVID was very kind in those times. And the other transfer that we have is Sidney Dotson from Oklahoma. Who is a fast, dynamic outside hitter from the Houston area. Had some really nice stats for Oklahoma last year, and just felt like there was a better fit for us here. And so we're excited about adding those three specifically to the core group that we had a really nice core. We just didn't have quite all the pieces. And I think we finally have all the pieces.
Well, that's pretty exciting. I'm going to pass you along to another SEC coach who who basically tooled up the Tennessee program to start with way back when. And Bob Bertucci, come in and be a fierce rival for Fran here as a former SECer.
Hey, Fran, glad to have you on. Got a couple of SEC questions for you here. What does it look like, for you in the way of SEC competition, and how does the conference schedule help or hurt you this year?
Well, I think, overall, the SEC is a much better volleyball conference than it's ever been. I mean, you can see that with Kentucky winning the national championship. We have always been known as an athletic league, maybe not a great volleyball playing league. Volleyball IQ and the style of play was just take your athletes and let them go. Like in the old days when I played for Mick, that's what we did. The rest, right?
Yeah, no coaching going on there. You guys are just better athletes.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You just put them up against each other and hope for the best. That's kind of what we were. But, I think there's been an influx of great coaches to come in our league. There's been an influx of great volleyball players to come into our league. And you're seeing the change happen. For us individually, again, I mentioned earlier, I think our ability to terminate on the pin was an Achilles heel for us. And now we have that fixed. It is an outside hitting league. It really is. Whether you talk about Florida, you talk about Kentucky, you talk about the teams that are winning the league, it's the people that have the strength and the ability to kill balls on the pin. And we haven't always been that, but we are now. And so I think the evolution of our sport and our league has come a long way in the last 2 or 3, maybe 3 to 5 years for sure. And I think the schedule is great. I personally love the schedule. We're playing back-to-back matches against the same team. And for all of us that are old school coaches, I like the challenge of matching up the next day again. I don't know the young coaches like it a whole lot because they have time to fix, right? But us that have done this for as long as we have, man, it's so fun to come in with a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and try to figure out who's going to do what and be able to make those in-match adjustments.
So from top to bottom, you feel pretty good that you're getting the competition that you need within the SEC to prepare you for national championships.
I do. I think for the first time in probably the last 2 years, I think we're getting that. I think everybody has invested in our sport, in our league. It shows with different coaches being brought in. It shows with different investments in programs. It shows with players. Gabby Wadden at Mississippi State is one of the best right sides in the country, but nobody knows a whole lot about her, but she's incredibly talented and difficult to defend. Kayla coming into Ole Miss. I mean, the people that are coming into this league and the volleyball legacy that they have, the credibility is there and the strength is there and the training is there and the coaching is there and the athletes were here. And so now when you put all that together, I think the league is really elevating.
Great. Well, I'm going to pass over to Brian. I'm sure he has a couple of questions for you too, Fran.
Fran, congratulations on such a great recruiting season. We wanted to talk about that. Wonderful. I mean, you have a great group. And if you're as good as the old LSU teams, I actually coached against those teams in the late 80s and early 90s, and they were incredibly, incredibly physical. So it's nice to know you're back again. So looking at everything, and I'm sure you don't want to get the cart in front of the horse here, but what do you have to do now to actually compete for a national championship? What do you have to do during the course of the season?
Well, I mean, you're going to tell me, of course, this is the right answer, but serving and passing have to be better. And honestly, I will tell you the truth. Our serving at LSU has been at the bottom of the league prior to last year. And we were able to practice in a different location and get some better reps and really emphasize it. And we went from like 5th in the league to 5th or 4th last year. And so, that part I'm super proud of. We're getting on the ball a little bit better. We have better control. We're near 40 for everybody. And the goal is to have everybody over 40 with some type of consistency. So that part we have to get to, and we're not quite there, but we're awfully close. So as the season goes, the more we can stabilize that to get pressure on the other side with first contact is important. I like our passing, honestly. I really like our passing. we return our entire team. Reagan Chanchuli has as a libero, has anchored our passing forever. And she's back and she's better than she's ever been. Ella Larkin is a freshman from Kansas that came in, and she's, her dad played at BYU. He's a great volleyball player and a great volleyball mind, and she carries that with her. And she's going to do a great job of stepping into the lineup and into the pattern. And just, she's a calm leader. She's a calm contact person. She creates really well. DeBerg passes pretty well. So, having that strength and that range, because she's so physical and takes up so much court, is also going to take the pressure off of everybody else that's in the pattern. So, and the other thing is we have to block a whole lot better. I mean, with these fast offenses that everybody's going to run, right? Everybody watched the Olympics, everybody watched Kentucky win, and everybody's going fast, and we're going to see it. We can recreate the wheel in our sport like we all do, right? Every time somebody wins, we're going to do what they do. But I think our speed is our ally right now. I mean, we are awfully dynamic. We're awfully fast. So, if we can get the ball into Carly Rose's hands well, and she has to become a better decision maker. So I think serving, certainly blocking is going to be important, and our setter decisions have to be a whole lot better than they were last year.
So making better decisions. I've always heard that from a setter. I've always had trouble with that myself, making any, but I really wish you the best with that. It's exciting. I can't wait to watch your team. I mean, being that physical, and I know the players you're talking about, and good luck with that. I agree, serving and passing. I think the women's Olympic team just won because they could outserve and pass everyone else. I'm going to turn it over to Ruth, and she'll, as an old LSU person, she's going to put you on the spot.
That's right. I remember when Tulane spray painted the tiger green. So I remember those days. But I love it, Fran. I think this year is a monumental year for you. Mick has put that label on you. So guess what? You got to perform the dark horse. That's who you are. But I think it's fantastic. One thing that I have is, how has NIL affected your players and your team?
Well, the interesting part is my team is not too into it right now.
Okay.
To be totally honest. My team is ultra focused on winning. Worked all summer together. Our top player, Taylor Bannister, is like, I'm not interested. I want to win a championship. I'm not worried about me. This is one of the most selfless teams that I've ever had. They train together all summer. Of course, we don't have summer hours, which is difficult for as coaches. We think that's really important. But my team created their own summer hours. They actually went to a police academy and did their own training with the state police for mental toughness and physical toughness and teamness. And that was not anything to do with me. That's our Whitney Foreman, the leader and captain of our team, said, we're doing this summer. We're going. So the NIL era for LSU volleyball has not really arrived. And we've mentioned it. They've had educational seminars. They've done it all. Part of me wants them to benefit from it, of course. There's an opportunity. I don't want to hold them back. But anytime they talk about it, they come back and they say, you know what, Fran? We don't care. We want to win. We don't want anything to end up winning.
Hey,
and as a coach,
that was an easy answer and an easy question. And we are out of time, Fran. We thank you for coming on the show, and best wishes for your upcoming season.
Good luck, Fran. Way to go.
Thank
Good luck,
you.
Fran.
All right.
have a great day, y'all.
All right, now let's bring on our second guest, who played in her first Olympics and brought home the gold. And we've got going to you, Mick.
Recording in progress.
Our special guest here is
Okay.
All right, we just lost Mick there for a second.
Okay, our special guest is Jordan Thompson, former Cincinnati Bengal. No football.
sorry.
Mick, are you
I'm
back?
sorry. I'm back here. Sorry, Jordan.
That's okay.
I have these fits every once in a while, and I just freeze. No, I'm just kidding you. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there. That was really weird. Hey, I have a great story, but Jordan Thompson, member of our USA gold medal winning Olympic team, hitting BBs off the floor was really exciting for me to watch. Graduate of the University of Cincinnati, where she was all everything. But I have a story. I have a story that I finally gotten back to you. I have been looking for you for 7, maybe 9 years. I found you at a tournament in Minneapolis when you were a freshman, and there were several other athletes kind of in your category, and everybody was all excited about those athletes, but I was excited about you. And when I left, I had asked somebody to get the information for me. They didn't do that, so I sent an assistant coach back, and the coach never came back with the information. We couldn't find you. We looked for 3 years only to find out that you had signed an NLI with somebody else. And I was very disappointed at the time. But when I watched the Olympics start, I was really disappointed because you basically stood out from all of the players in the Olympics that I watched as dynamic. And I am so excited to have you on the show because I want to know a couple of things. I'm going to start with a question, then I'm going to turn it over. But we had a chance to watch an interview with Luca, and he had said that the coaches kind of feel that it's very difficult to come right out of college, join the national team, and go to the Olympics. And that was a question relating to maybe why Plummer wasn't on the team and a few of your other younger teammates didn't make the top 12. Yet you came out of Cincinnati almost immediately, starred in 2019, helping the team. And in the first quadrennial of you being out, you're not only on the team, but you're starting and like I said, hitting BBs off the floor. I've never seen anything faster go off the floor than especially those shots out of the back row. So tell us how hard it is for an athlete to come out of college and go into this international system and get into the leagues and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult. I think about the jump from high school to college, and I thought that was hard. And then going from college to the professional league and playing with the national team, you're playing at the highest level. And so it was definitely an adjustment. I think the speed is just crazy fast. And so that was the biggest adjustment, I think, for me, especially with blocking. And there's all these different routes and hitters coming at you. And I'm like a chicken with my head cut off. But I think, I always want to act like a sponge and just soak in as much information as I can. And so I think even just being with the national team in the summer of 2019, and I did get some playing time, so that was awesome. But just being on the bench and watching the game up close like that and being able to talk to my teammates, I learned so much. And I felt like I grew so much as a player that summer just from watching and being able to ask questions and, just pick the brains of my teammates because they've obviously been playing at such a high level for a longer period of time than me. And so that information and that knowledge was just really valuable and helping me grow.
Well, I think there's only been maybe 5 players in the last 20 years or 21 years that have really been able to come out. Logan Tom coming right out of high school on the national team in the Sydney Olympics, but Kim Hill also coming out of college and immediately making a contribution. And you, of course, at this point, it is really tough, or is it just something that is individual? I mean, the speed and all of that, but how about the transition with your teammates and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the team made it a lot easier to kind of make that transition because all those women are so willing to help. And I think the team culture that was created there, it's very welcoming, and it's just everybody's a team player. And so I didn't feel like I was being left behind, oops, sorry, I don't know if I paused.
Oh, you're okay.
No, you had a freeze like Mick.
Yeah. I didn't feel like I was left behind or left to figure things out for myself. They really just took me under their wings and just, I think helped me to elevate my game. And I think as a player, when you're put in those situations, you either sink or swim. You either raise the level of your game or you kind of struggle. And I think because of my teammates, I was really able to elevate my game and sort of like rise to that level of play. And so yeah, my teammates made it just that adjustment a lot easier.
Brian Gimolero has a great question for you. Go, Brian.
Hi, Jordan.
Hello.
How's your ankle?
It's okay. It's still a little bit swollen, but I'm doing treatment each day, so I'm trying to get healthy again.
And how was it, first Olympics? You don't have any fans in the stands, which had to be bizarre. But what was your first Olympic and getting hurt? I think all athletes need to hear about somebody who's a starter getting hurt and what they go through watching their teammates, because the injury certainly is a part of the game. So how were you coping with that?
Yeah, it was really bizarre, I think, because I've been injured before. I had to sit out an entire season in college, and I dealt with that. So I had that experience. But I think getting injured after like earning a starting spot and feeling like I was finally like playing my game and playing well, and getting hurt at the Olympics, like that's such a huge moment in my career. It was really devastating. And I don't think I realized at first just like how much it impacted me. But yeah, it was really hard mentally. And I was like, okay, this obviously isn't the way that I saw my journey playing out at the Olympics, but how can I still be good for my teammates? And so I tried to really focus on that, because when I would kind of let myself wander off into like, this is the worst situation. Like, how could this happen right now? Like, why right now out of all times? And, sort of getting into that like more negative thinking, that made it more difficult. So I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on the positives. My teammates were really helpful with just supporting me and, being there for me to kind of vent about just what I was feeling and working through that. So it was just like a weird situation, because I never felt so upset about an injury before. And so that was a different process, and I've never been through something like that before.
Well, we're hoping this is not your last Olympic experience. And,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we hope the gold medal is certainly a good way to get over an ankle problem.
Yes.
But so let's talk about what's the future. Where are we going to see you?
Yeah, so I'm going to go back overseas and play in Turkey this season. And then from there, I don't know where I'll end up in my next professional season, but I'm definitely going to be trying for Paris. And I'm really hoping to have a more normal Olympic experience, hopefully some fans, hopefully no injuries. And so, I think about the experience that I had, and it was amazing just the way it was, but I can only imagine what it's like to have a more normal experience with fans and being able to compete the whole time. So yeah.
We're all hoping that is true. Bob Bertucci is going to ask you a question.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Jordan, congratulations. I know it was tough to have an injury, but like Brian said, it was great to have a gold medal. So
Yes.
makes that ankle feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
Hey, I have some hard questions, but probably quick answers. With college players right now monetizing themselves and having help through their universities to do that, what has USAV done for the gold medal team? All right. You guys are the first women to get a gold medal. What's happening there?
Yeah. I think it kind of falls onto the players a little bit of just how we want to utilize this and how we want to really market ourselves and brand ourselves during this time, because obviously we do have a lot of leverage. This is the first gold medal in indoor volleyball for women. And so I think it's kind of cool how we can sort of use this to our advantage, and how each player sees fit for themselves. And so I think that it's nice that we have that freedom to sort of explore which avenue is going to be best for us to really capitalize on this time and just celebrate this gold medal, because it's obviously such a historic thing that we did. And so, yeah, I think it's cool that we kind of have that freedom to decide how we want to best use this time and that leverage.
But you're not getting any support from USAV right now. It's just kind of on your own.
Yeah, it's, I mean, they're for sure there for support in any way that we need them. But they're not really, we don't have any like mandatory obligations with them or things like that. I think they're just doing what they can to continue to just push out the information and just supporting on social media and stuff like that, and really continuing to get our names out there and just our accomplishments out there. So I think that's awesome, you know, that they're continuing to do that for us.
How do you feel about, you know, Koch has had a tough time this year. He's overcome a lot. He's also, you know, accomplished, you know, his goal of getting you guys on the top of the podium. Is he coming back for the next 4 years?
I'm not sure. I hope so. But yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure. Obviously, there's going to be, I think, a lot of changes just with Luca going to coach at NC State, and you know, there's just different coaching changes. And so right now, I mean, I think the plan is for Karch to stay, but not 100% sure there. But I would be really, really happy if he did. I mean, he's done so much for this program, and I think, you know, whatever is best for him, you know, we're really happy that we could at least help bring this gold medal, you know, and help add to his accomplishments, because he's already such a decorated player and coach. And so, I mean, we're going to support him in whatever he chooses to do, but yeah, we'd definitely be happy if he stuck around.
Well, thanks,
Okay.
Jordan. I think we have to go to Ruth because we're kind of running out of time, but thanks for being on the show.
Okay,
Yes, thank
Jordan,
you.
I'm going to make it 30 seconds because
Okay.
I can speed up my stuff, and John and I are real good at this. I watched you go through a year of rehab with your Tommy John surgery,
Mhm.
came back outstanding. You played left side, then you switched back to right side. And I know you had to have played middle in middle school because you were the tallest player ever.
Yep.
And your defense has gotten better. Your passing's gotten better.
Thank you.
And I just want to say congratulations for jumping out of college, jumping out and rehabbing. And I know you can rehab. And I know you've got the best support in Cincinnati. And that young man was waiting for you when you came home. And I'm sure he gave you a hug. And the question is, did he put the medal around his neck?
He did. Yes, he did.
Okay, Jordan, hey, thanks for being on our show, and best wishes for a little downtime with
Thank
family and friends.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Way to
You're
go,
very
Jordan.
Good job.
You were awesome.
For those coaches that are interested in our consulting services, please go directly to our volleyballmastercoaches.com and click on a contact form. And we look forward to customizing in-person or virtual clinic for you. Missed one of our shows? Jump over to Instagram and go to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Volleyball Master Coaches. A special shout out to our partners, Baden Sports, SNE Sports, and thanks to our content providers, NFHS, JVA, Coaches Insider, AVCA. Stay on Facebook Live after John closes today's show, as we'll hear from Master Coaches recap on today's buzz and to hear the rules updates, clarifications, and interpretations from 2 NCAA officials. Now let's go to our Buzz and Buzz Reaction digital partner, Dr. John Foreman, who will update us on his most recent project.
No, I still can't get over the fact that Ruth every time calls me Dr. John Foreman. It's probably it's one of like only 2 people in my life that actually do that. Anyway, in terms of stuff I'm working on, aside from trying to get my team ready for preseason, it starts this weekend. We're making progress toward the first Wizard Women book out of the Volleyball Coaching Wizards series. So if I can get those things edited in the next couple of weeks, it'll be out there on your favorite bookstores. So with that, let's roll on to the Buzz Reaction.
For those joining us first time for Buzz Reaction, today we begin our master coaches with a short recap of our Buzz, and we will then jump right in with our two NCAA experts on rules, trends, interpretations for the upcoming season. So let's go first to Brian and Mick for the recap today.
Well, I'll throw this one at Brian a little bit, but well, two things. First of all, wouldn't you like to have blown up the screen and see what Coach Flory had written on her whiteboard behind her?
Yes, yeah.
I always am interested in what's on the whiteboard. So I couldn't see. I was looking every which way, and I was trying to blow that up to see whether it was recruiting or whether it was practice ideas or whether it was just daily assignments. That always intrigues the heck out of me. So watch out when you're interviewed of what your background is. So
That's why we
one.
have
But
these
Brian,
backgrounds.
Brian, you've been when Salinger was coach, you
Yeah.
were kind of general manager in that regard, and that's before the association had feet. Is it the responsibility, or should it be the responsibility of the United States Volleyball to be help marketing these athletes and that sort of thing, or is it up to the players now in this day and age to find their own marketing experts and do that? It would seem to me this is the greatest achievement for the women in all time American volleyball. We would want to maybe even have a tour, a thank you tour to the team that helps them something. What's your view on that? Because you've been involved in the inside of that.
Well, I think that it would be good business. It makes sense to me. There's so much pressure and focus on the players. They're focusing on their goal to win. And I think that it's really important that you can take that. They are thinking, they're all in on winning and competing. And they, in the back of their mind, they're thinking about, okay, the Olympics ends. Now what do I do? USA's over. What do I do next? So I think it would be good business if there was a plan done by USA to say, hey, this is what we are planning. This is what we're attempting to put together for you individually or collectively. So you don't have to worry. Don't think about all this stuff now. Just concentrate on the volleyball. And when it ends, A, B, C, and D is, you're going to have choices. And I just think it would be really good for the organization to do that, to really take care of their players and to allow them to continue to focus on what they need to. I remember after the Olympics, everybody was really concerned. The day it was over, all funds ended, all money ended, and they were off basically on their own. So I think to answer your question, yes, I wish the USA Volleyball could find a way to help organizing with agents and that type of thing. But the most I took out of the thing was Fran told me, now we played each other in 1988, but Fran told me that you didn't coach very much. And I was looking up to you all the time. I thought you were doing a heck of a job.
Yeah, all we did is go in there and get all those athletes and just throw them out there, roll out the ball. I think
They
that was
figured
the
it out by
deal.
themselves. I never do that.
Okay,
So, Bob,
I'm not supposed to say anything, but Brian, don't forget you played us also when I was at LSU coaching.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you should have concentrated on what Fran was doing and forget about what Mick's plan was.
Bob, what'd you get out of that?
Well, I got the Kaili just said happy birthday to you, Mick, and I didn't know it was your birthday. So
It says
happy
Nick
birthday.
Haley, it's up on his, I know he didn't do that.
So you
because-
must be at least 69 years old by now.
Oh,
Well,
no.
You
Much
know
younger.
what? And my wife takes those two numbers and flips them, and then she puts them on the cake,
Yeah, but who renamed your name? It says Mick Haley, birthday boy. Did you? I know you didn't do
You
that.
did that.
No, I didn't. I guarantee it was the Dr. Digital partner.
Yeah,
that
there's
did.
no way that Mick did that. I can guarantee
way.
it.
Because I don't know how. That's exactly right. There was no way.
Yeah, Bob, you and me would be the first three who knew we were not guilty because we couldn't do it.
Yeah, but I would get blamed for it. And it was the guy in the corner up there who's acting with his on mute. Yeah. We know who did it.
Though another thing that was pointed out and probably should be pointed out, that LSU has had a long history of having good teams. and they just don't seem to sustain it over a long period of time. They go 5 to 10 years. They've been just dynamic, got even teams to the Final Four. When Ruth was there, she had awesome athletes. I mean, it's not a problem for LSU to draw athletes. Their coaches have all been able to get athletes there. And if you look at Fran in that first part from 2000 to 2010, her LSU teams were very, very good. In fact, it was Florida and LSU duking it out all the time during that time. And then they kind of dropped back a little bit for a while, and now they seem to be roaring up again. And that was really interesting to hear how physical the gym is. You know, we haven't heard that in a long time, because it's hard to get 12 athletes in there that are that physical, that want to play, and only 7 can play at one time. So it's really interesting to hear that. Maybe we're going to see this in a lot of programs because of the COVID seniors coming back.
I think it's a whole new year, hard to judge because of the COVID seniors. You know, her ability to serve and pass, I think, is an honest analysis. But she's got a lot of fifth-year people who might be able to overcome those things.
Yeah.
Well, we better move on to our rules.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I'd like to go ahead and quickly introduce Kaili and Brian again. They were on before, and we got a lot of stuff to cover. So I can't even begin to go over the resumes. Kaili being a four-year multi-sport player in high school, played volleyball in college, MVP, senior, scholar athlete, and on. And then, is international official for basketball, national official in PAVO. And Brian, of course, you've been 20 years as a PAVO national official, and 15 years as a FIVB international official. So I think, with no further ado, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to just jump into this right away and get started, because I know that the coaches that are listening are going to be real interested in some of the things that you have to say. So my first question has to do with delay sanctions. All right, I know we chatted a little bit about that earlier on the last time you were on the show. Being a coach, I know if I'm out of timeouts, I'm looking to see how I might be able to delay the game a little bit. Luckily, I know most of the officials, so I get up and I start joking around with that second official and asking them for, how many subs do I have left, or do I have any timeouts, and anything I can do to slow the game down. Do you feel that the delay warning is sufficient, to stop that?
I'll take a stab at that one. It's funny. I kind of had this conversation with a couple of other referees, and coaches know the delay warning is a no harm, no foul, but it creates the delay they want. And so, just to throw out this is me thinking crazy, I would wonder what folks in general think about making the delay sanctions on a scale like conduct sanctions, where the crime fits the punishment. Where if a kid intentionally unties her shoe, it may or may not be at the coach's direction, but if she intentionally unties her shoe to ice the opposing server, and the best we can do is issue the delay warning, they've, mission accomplished. However, if we could ever skip the delay warning and go to the delay penalty and say that's too flagrant, you get penalized for that, not just warned for it. I wonder if that would leave some coaches on the bench thinking, I don't know if this referee is going to look at this like a delay warning or a penalty. I don't want to take the risk. So I wanted to throw that comment out there, that thought out there first. I think it's wishful thinking at best, but the delays are there for the purpose of preventing interruptions to the progress of the game. But there are always times when the delay, it just happens. but the intentional ones are the ones that are a challenge for referees.
Brian, this is Mick Haley. Don't you think though that these kinds of things can be solved up to a point with you just as an official just not accepting the discussion? And you mentioned the tying of the shoe, and I always thought that was interesting until I started watching why some people untie their shoe, and some players actually untie their shoe before they tie it when they have an irregularity with their sock or something like that. I think we're getting into a problem where you're going to have very unhappy coaches and very unhappy spectators when we start trying to interpret whether something is a delay or not. I think in the verbal kinds of things where they come up to the second official, you just ignore it. You just say that's it. I'm not listening anymore, and that sort of thing. Now, I'm sure your supervisors have told you, though, no, you need to engage the coaches so that they're not hostile and that sort of thing. But maybe a quick comment saying, look, I don't feel like I should entertain this right now. I don't agree with you, and so we're going to move on. Maybe something like that in a cordial way is a way to do that. I do think we're going backwards, though, if we start doing a couple of things that you suggested there. It's just my opinion as a former coach.
Yeah, Nick, I think that's kind of interesting because actually I think the best officials that I have to deal with is if I come up to ask that question, they already have the answer. They give me the answer right away and can play continues. Well, then there's nothing else I can do. The best scenario is when they turn around and take the yellow card out for a delay. That just delays the game a little bit longer. So it's almost better to just go ahead and play on. And going with the red card, I think, is a little bit dangerous. But Mick, I'm sure you have a couple of questions you'd like to ask Brian and Kaili.
Well, I'm going to let Ruth throw some stuff up so you can watch for a second. Then I'll have a comment or a question.
Okay.
This is in regards to the jam, or basically whether you should be allowed to throw the ball or not. And there's several clips here that you can see athletes doing.
This is a great slow-mo coming up.
And she's taking the ball clearly across her whole body.
In this one, Brian swears that he's not going to let go. Got to see that again. Okay.
So I guess the question is concerning power tips, and I really thought the officiating in the Olympics got it right. You really didn't see, but maybe one or possibly two really overly aggressive redirecting of the ball with a long follow through. But recently, and as recently as this last season in the spring, there were athletes of teams in the Final Four who were being taught to take the ball from behind their head in the left side hitting position and literally throw the ball or redirect it downwards. And that wasn't called. And we had a discussion on our show, Brian, that we all felt like that was meaning if we allowed that, we had to change technique to be able to play the ball. And secondly, Brian Gimolaro had a great statement on that where he really felt like women's volleyball showed high levels of skill. And once we start letting people do that, it diminishes the quality of the sport and the game. So where are you guys on this?
My question to all of you would be, would you want the power tip removed completely? Because if you poll even coaches and officials, sometimes you're going to get a 50-50 on whether they deem that to be an actual caught or thrown prolonged contact occurrence. So with there being so much subjectivity in it, is it discussion whether whether we're going to remove it completely. In my opinion, yeah, I believe power tip is part of it. It's just gauging it consistently across the board from game to game. That's the tough part.
It is tough. We see it so much on the court, and now we're getting into this. The line is very narrow on it's good or not good, and it's the amount of grief we take as referees when we make the call. Coaches get all over us. Of course, they want us to call that on the opponent, but not on their players,
Sure.
which is always the case. We struggled through that. But, interestingly, the NCAA Piavio National Clinics that all referees are attending this time. In fact, our last round of clinics is this weekend. And there is a segment on power tips in that clinic and discussing how we might need to rein it in a little bit. We're allowing too much leeway. And to present that portion in the clinic, Joan Powell and Ann Pufall from the Secretary Rules Editor from the NCAA, of course, they did a Zoom call with 11 different coaches, showed them video clips similar to the ones Ruth just ran, and asked for their opinions. And in a majority of the cases, and there were 11 coaches, it was a 6-5, 5-6 split on whether it should have been called or not. So it didn't necessarily answer for referees anyway, what coaches really want, but it's nonetheless a point of emphasis because it is a topic that's out there. And the big one, I think it was Ruth or maybe it was Bob that mentioned the jam, where they're getting on top of the ball and pushing it down, straight down, and it's indefensible by the opponent. And so I think it's hard for referees to process that in the moment that it happens. Is that a playable ball? Is that a defendable ball? Could the opponent have done anything with it? I don't know that should even be part of the equation for referee decision making. Opinions from all of you?
I think it's like the 3-point play in basketball. Almost every coach voted against it, and they still put it in because it was good for the game. I think you have to decide what's good for the game and then be consistent and call it the same, and everybody will adjust. I think it's an ugly play if it rests on the hand too long and has a long follow through. I have no trouble with an open hand wrist tip. If the arm is straight, I don't mind the setters going up with straight arm because they're underneath the ball and directing it. I know Doug Beal thinks it's the worst play in volleyball is the open hand tip, and he would ban it completely. So there are a lot of different feelings about it. But one of the things I bet you've never heard is that, and I was watching the film as we were all watching here, and if it's in rhythm of the play, I almost think it's okay because the players play with rhythm. They play with feel, and their defense is that way. And if the jam is with rhythm, in part of the play of the game, I almost think you let it go because it's all part of the feel for the players in the game.
Well, men seem to carry the ball in setting a lot more in deep dish than the women do. So, it's kind of, you don't see very many women doing deep dishing, but more focus has been on, because it seems flagrant. It's almost like the guy with VNL. Now that was like, now that's out of control. But I think the rhythm part Nick mentioned is excellent to address.
I'm curious. I'm sorry.
Point. Kaili made the point about it's so subjective. It makes it really difficult for the officials, I think. And I know, as a coach, you always want the other team to get called on it. You don't want your team called on it. But, where do you draw the line? I mean, I can remember playing it with the World University Games team against Japan, and they had mastered this. They were setting the ball against us, against the U.S. team, on top of the net. All right, we were conditioned to allow the attacker to touch the ball first before you actually block the ball, and we should have just reached over the net and blocked the ball. All right, they would just take the ball and move it and throw it down. All right, and you couldn't defend the ball. We had really good defenders, and I moved them up to cover that play on the 31, and they couldn't do it. And then we tried to block it, and we just weren't conditioned to block fast enough to change it. So it changes the game dramatically if you're allowed to do it.
I'm curious to see what this season is going to look like based on this module that we just had for all of our national level training through the NCAA and PAVO. I'm just curious if referees are going to tighten up a little bit on those or not. And Kaili was absolutely right. The subjectivity is so difficult, and it's the experience level of the referees as well. The more they've seen of it, especially at higher levels of play, whether it's Division 1, 2, or 3, I think the more they tend to I think make pretty good decisions overall. But I think it's the up and coming referees, those with lesser experience, that might get on top of that call a little quicker than they should.
The other thing that I would say in agreeing with Mick about the verbiage that's in the rule book, if caught or thrown prolonged contact might not be enough. It might need a little more specificity, such as, like you said, Mick, an extended arm and using only wrist action. Once the arm goes from point A to point B, now that's considered prolonged contact. Because if not, we might not get on that same page to be able to call it consistently across the board. So I believe that's something we as officials could suggest, but it really comes from coaches as to looking at those ones where they're 6'5", or looking at the ones where they're definitely knowing and they all agree that it's a fault. What makes it a fault, and can we clean up the language in the rule book?
I have a few statements. One is, about delays. I remember in pro football a few years back, when the defense needed a break and they didn't have any timeouts left, somebody would grab their ankle and lay down and do it. So, and I remember one time it was on the goal line and 4 defensive players grabbed their ankle at the same time and fell down. It's true story. And then finally there became this 10-second runoff, rule to be done. So if the delay is a problem, and I do think it is, and the reason I think delay is it's silly. It's a silly competitive advantage. Come on, don't do that, and stop that. So, and the other reason I don't like it is volleyball is a difficult game to keep people interested, because we got about a 2-second to 3-second, depending on women or men, 3 seconds live action compared to 20 seconds, or now up down to 15 seconds of dead time, where basketball is always in play, volleyball is rarely in play. So any more downtime, non-action time, is really bad for the sport. So that's one. So I do think we need to come up with some delay rules. I agree with you. I think it is hard for a referee, but I think that referees need to be able to say that is a legitimate delay. We know it's a delay. Everybody in the gym knows it's a delay, and get a yellow card for that, or whatever consequence is there. I do think also, by the way, that you ask too many of our opinions. I think you should come up with a rule, and heck with the coaches. I mean, we have different opinions every day on it. Like everybody said, if somebody throws the ball from the other side, you guys call it. My player never throws the ball. So stop asking for our opinions and start doing, get a real clear with teeth in it rules. Like if you get the ball back here, you have to keep there. What you both said about a fast tip. I mean, there's things there that can be cleaned up and more exact. And by the way, Kaili, I've never seen you look all dressed up like this. Where's your referee suit? Where's your referee shirt?
Oh, I'll do that next time. I'll wear it for you next time, Brian.
Okay. You look great. I think
thank you.
So shocking to see, out of the character here, but that's all.
Sure.
Hey, Brian, you had a couple of CRS questions. Do you want to?
Well, it's all about delay. I would love, what do you guys think? What would be, in your opinion, not ours, what is your opinion of what we could do with these delays?
For
Kaili,
CRS?
I said my
No,
piece.
I'm not delay. I'm sorry, about challenge. What's the best way to deal with the challenge?
Pay money on that tennis system.
Oh, that's nice.
Where they just
Yes,
put the shadow and they give us the answer.
exactly. That's real good.
We all vote for that. But should we keep our challenge if we use it? How about people using a challenge at the end of a game, for a kind of a delay tactic? I mean, what would you guys like to see for that? And we all want the tennis, technology. Yeah. So what do you say? You two.
One thing, I don't know if you're aware of the experimental rule that the NCAA approved, right? So I think there are 11 Division I conferences that will use this experiment, right? Where you get 2 challenges for the match, but if you challenge and win, you get to keep it. So I think that's going to. Sorry.
What do you think of that?
Yeah. Oh, I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I think that with few exceptions, it'll get rid of a frivolous challenge that really is supposed to be a timeout. I think that's a great. I think it's going to be great. I think they're going to get good data on that. And at least to me, that indicates that they're looking at some alternatives, not just the 3 challenges and get an extra one in the 5th set. They're looking at other variations, and I think that's a great thing.
Agreed. I like it too.
Can you deny a challenge?
Only if it's not allowable per the challenge rules.
Yeah, but no, when it's obvious that somebody's challenging, I've seen it internationally where match point and the coach called a challenge and the referee said no and just went on. The game was over. What do you think of that?
I think that's a pretty cool referee, but I just don't know if we'd be supported by our higher ups on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And interestingly, back to the delays, we actually have in the delay sanction rules that, and this, I'm paraphrasing it, but abusing the challenge review process or requesting a challenge could result in a delay. I've never seen that applied or assessed by referees, even though we know some of those challenges are delay tactics.
I actually saw it in the international competition in Omaha 2 years or 3 years ago, maybe in 19 or 18, that USA was playing, and at the end of the match, the Italian guy just challenged just for the heck of it, and they gave him a card going into the 4th set for delay of game or unsportsmanlike conduct. I'm not sure. Did you guys watch the beach officiating where there was a challenge of a challenge? Or if I saw it right,
I saw that. Yeah.
We're out.
How does that work? That was almost embarrassing.
That's still being discussed. I've talked
Or
to
cussed, yeah, or cussed, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. Exactly.
That was
Okay.
significant.
Guys,
That,
we are
Okay.
out of time, and
ooh,
we just wanted, this is great. I didn't get to ask a question, but that's okay. Thanks for joining us today for our Buzz Reaction. We thank our guests for providing us with great insight into how rules are interpreted by our NCAA officials. For those coaches that are interested in our consulting services, please go directly to our website, volleyballmastercoaches.com, and click on the contact form. And we look forward to customizing an in-person or virtual clinic for you. A very special shout out to our 88 guests who have shared their insights with us and our viewers over the past 65 weeks. 2021 AVCA Convention in Columbus, Ohio, December 15th through the 18th, and you may jump over to the avca.org to register today. Be sure to tell your friends about our weekly news show, and thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week on The Buzz.